one night, in a moment of momentary depression, took his life. It was the worst night of my life. And I had planned on that weekend, and had told Tom when I got pneumonia, so you're going to have to preach a sermon for me, what to do on the worst day of your life, not knowing the day I asked him to do that would be the worst day of my life. I want you to write this down. Faith is trusting God without knowing why. Trusting God's plan. Trusting God's purpose. Faith is trusting God's purpose and plan without knowing why. Some of you are in the middle of this test right now. God, why did I get fired? God, why did my husband have an affair? God, why did my boyfriend break up with me? God, why did this loved one get this illness? Why did my child die? A woman once said to me, Pastor Rick, where was God when my son died? I said he was the same place he was when his son died. Grieving, weeping. The only reason we have the ability to sorrow is because God is a sorrowful God. God walks through our pain with us. Faith is trusting God's purpose without knowing why. If you're in the middle of this test, if you can explain everything in your life, you've got an explanation for everything, then you're not living by faith. And your life message, your deepest life message will come out of your deepest pain. Now, there's one other test. And I could go on these tests for several hours. But I want to hear Carrie. Here's number 6. The 6th test, and you're going to have this one too, is a prolonged pain. A prolonged pain. I'm talking about extended suffering. It could be physical pain, it could be relational, it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be interpersonal. But you're going to have an extended period of pain in your life, and it just does not go away. And this is what I call the how long test. How long? How long, Lord? The good example of this is Moses. Moses was the most patient and the most persistent man in the Bible. He put up with enormous amounts of pain. You can measure Moses' life in 3 phases, 40, 40, 40. 40 years in Pharaoh's court, learning to be a somebody. 40 years in the wilderness, learning to be a nobody. 40 years leading the children of Israel across that desert with 1 million complaining babies. And they wanted to kill him, and they wanted to mutiny, and they wanted to go back to Egypt. And at one point, he just said, God, kill me. Just go ahead, just kill me, right? It'd be a whole lot easier. Just kill me right now. He had this prolonged pain. Leadership involves pain. And the Bible says this in verses 24 to 26 of Hebrews 11. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, that's when he had matured, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. In other words, he wouldn't live a false identity. Who are you trying to be? He chose to be mistreated. Look at that. He chose to be mistreated. That's prolonged pain. Along with the people of God, rather than enjoy the pleasures of sin for a short time. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasure of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. Now think about this. Moses had everything we spend our lives trying to get. Fame, pleasure, and wealth. He had the world's measure, the world's pleasure, and the world's treasure. He had fame. He's the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He's Pharaoh's grandson. He's in line to be the most powerful man in the world. All of the wealth of the world is concentrated in Egypt at this point. And if he wanted peeled grapes, they'd peel them for him. He's got everything people aspire to. Wealth, fame, power. It's a success, status, salary, passion, possession, position. He's got it all. And Moses walks away to spend the next 80 years of his life in pain. Prolonged pain in the how long test. Write this down. Faith is continuing to persist without knowing how long. Moses had no idea how long they were going to last in the wilderness. Moses had no idea how long he was going to be stuck in Midian. Moses had no idea how long it was going to take. Faith is continuing to persist in your life without knowing how long. Some of you are in the how long test right now, and it's gone on and on and on and on. And you don't see any end in sight. How do you get the persistence that Moses had? Well, you do what Moses did. You hear from God. The Bible says this, Hebrews 11:27. By faith he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered. That's the sixth test, the how long test. He persevered because he saw him who is invisible. You cannot do the impossible until you can see that which is invisible. You got to listen to God. If you don't listen to God, you're not going to make it to the end. A lot of people start off great in the Christian life. I want you to make it to the finish line. And in order to do that, you've got to have a time with God. You've got to hear from God. Watch this.